Namaste, y'all. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. Hear and see me. Welcome, welcome. Give this a moment to get going here. Thank you so much for being here with me on this beautiful Wednesday evening, coming to you live a little bit later than normal. And today on tap, we have all about letting go with the waning moon. And after that transmission, we will be having our monthly giveaway drawing. So let's get going. Hey, Dad. Welcome, guys. Say hello in the comments as you're hopping on live. Love to see who all's here. It doesn't show me, it just shows little eyeballs there. A little eye and the number 5. Looks like 5 people are listening. Welcome. So glad to be here with you. So today is all about letting go with the waning full moon. And my name is Becca YogaBex Cummings. I know most of you. And so let's dive in, shall we? So this part of the lunar phase is about letting go. It's about the softening of the light and turning inward. So if you think about the cycle of the moon, with the new moon, we set an intention. We're acting in accordance with the intention, taking action, creating, starting new projects, starting new things. And it peaks or climaxes with the full moon, and then we come into the other part of the cycle, which is letting go and releasing. So that is the part of the cycle we're in right now. So hi, Stephanie. Hi, Kelly. Mariah. Welcome, welcome. So we and Mom. Hello, Mom. So we are in the cycle of letting go right now. And it's a natural part of life, right? When you think about the seasons, we have spring where there's a lot of birth and growth and greenery. Summer, things peak or climax. That would be, like the full moon part. And then fall and winter are when things start to die off, to drop leaves, decay, release. And winter is really that time of turning inward, and like New Year's, right? People set New Year's resolutions with that arc as we start to go back into that spring cycle and growth and rebirth. So today you'll learn how to direct your energy during this part of the lunar cycle, which I basically just told you about, but we'll go into that a little bit more here. What you need to be aware of, and ways to release resistance, to let go, to surrender, so that you can really co-create, be a co-creator or co-creatrix with the universe and the divine. And we'll go over specific practices for letting go of what needs to die. So as we were just talking about, this is a time of releasing, of allowing that which needs to die to release or die, right? And the goddess card or the goddess energy that relates to that is Caradwin. See if I can hold this up so you can see it. Caradwin. And she is, it's titled Death and Rebirth. You might be able to see that at the bottom there. And she's a triple goddess, meaning that she comes in 3 different forms: as a maiden, as a mother, and as a crone. Okay, and that's reflective of the birth, growth, motherhood, waning, waxing, fullness, waning cycle of life that we all go through. Something is dying and needs to be let go of, so something new can be born. And we know the earth stance of death and rebirth as the seasons, okay? So matter cannot be created or destroyed, but undergoes transformation. And that's what you might be going through. What do you need to let go of? So start to consider what needs to die or what needs to be let go of so that you can step into your goals. How can you expand your comfort zone? How can you expand those boundaries of your comfort zone? And perhaps you've reached the end of a cycle, a relationship, a job, and you fear letting it go. Or you fear that you're dying when only a piece of you needs to give way to the new. Sometimes it's just a very small change that we need to make in order to step into our intentions fully, our goals, things that we're working towards creating. And this requires that we accept things as they are. So we understand, we have an awareness of how things are, and we work towards acceptance of that. And that is what you need to be aware of. You need to be aware of, self-reflect, and be aware of what is it that's diminishing your life force energy or turning your attention away from what you really desire to be doing. And how can you either transform that, shift that, or let that go, right? Living in a patriarchal culture has deprived most of us from the goddess's way of death and rebirth. It's like the phoenix, burns up and then rises again from the ashes. But again, it might just be a small piece, a small behavior, a bad habit, whatever, or a relationship that is no longer serving you. Okay? Wholeness is nurtured when we become conscious that every step on the path of life is also a step toward death and rebirth. And wholeness is achieved when we can say yes and do our dance with this death and rebirth cycle. So a few moments ago, I had my hair tied up and I was adjusting it, and my hair clip died. Everything has a life that's in the physical. So this snapped, broke, no longer functional for that purpose, but who knows, maybe I can find something to make out of this. Maybe I can scratch the cat with it, or the dogs, right? So death and rebirth, letting go, time to let go. As you're becoming aware of what you need to let go of, you're setting boundaries, right? You're saying, this is no longer okay, this behavior is no longer serving me. So you're remodeling your comfort zone room. Okay, you don't have to completely change houses and locations or rooms. Some people do change everything at once, and sometimes that's beneficial, but it might just be, this one wall needs to be pushed out or whatever. So you're expanding that comfort zone so that what you're proposing of letting go of, you have something to bring in its place. So what you need to be aware of is why you need to let something go. Why is that? What's it doing? Is it, what are the pros and cons? What are the cons? And what are its pros too? And then what do you want instead? What are you going to do instead? You want to have that instead. You want to have that healthy behavior, habit, mindset, mantra, what have you, at the ready, so that you're letting go in this time of the lunar cycle, but you also know why, what you're working for, what you want instead, which is the new moon intention that you set at the beginning of the lunar cycle. Okay, so this is a time for, looking at, if you set a new moon intention with us a few weeks ago, looking at those intentions or intention and asking, what am I doing that's actually sabotaging that? Or is there some mindset I can shift around that? Because some intentions take longer than a 30-day cycle to manifest. So we need patience too. So with boundaries, with Durga, with boundaries, here's Durga riding on her tiger. With boundaries, are you feeling pulled off center by demands to give and give and give till there's nothing left of yourself? Establishing clear boundaries is an act of self-love. What are you taking inside that should remain outside? Boundaries are vital because they let others know who you are and where you stand. Boundaries are vital because they let others know who you are and where you stand. And in a few moments, we'll talk about a ritual suggestion or practice suggestion for letting go, with the help of Durga, with establishing those boundaries, and with the help of Lilith, who we talked about last week, about power, stepping into your divine power. So if I can get that to show up. There we go. And we talked about last week about doing a cord cutting ceremony, and you tie a cord on. We'll go into the details here in a moment, but basically whatever habit, mindset, relationship, whatever you're letting go of is represented by a piece of string or ribbon or leather suede cord, and you tie that around wrist, ankle, waist. Some people do the neck. You can do whatever. And that represents what you're letting go of. And then after a specific period of time, you can determine that. It can be, this last phase of the moon cycle. So you can cut it off with the new moon. Okay. And when you cut it off, you can burn that string or ribbon or whatever cord you used to represent what you're letting go of. And that can really set in motion more strength in what you're surrendering. So let's talk about surrender for a moment with Yamaya. Yamaya is, she is, see if I can hold that steady for you. Yamaya is a African Caribbean goddess of the sea. And she says that surrender doesn't mean giving up. Rather, you are giving over. You're giving over and asking for assistance so you can do what you are here to do. And you're asking assistance from people in your life, from loved ones, friends, family, coworkers, depending on the situation, from your spiritual team, your guides, your healers here on earth, but also in the spiritual realm, mentors, getting assistance, getting help. You don't need to do it all yourself. And it's not appropriate to do it all yourself oftentimes, right? So asking for assistance. Do you think you must do it all yourself? The act of surrendering is one of opening and trust. The act of surrendering is one of opening and trust. And when we open and trust, we allow the goddess energy, the divine flow, goddess energy, God energy, divine masculine, divine feminine, to work with us and help us achieve our goals, what we're creating. So you can really, you don't have to do it all yourself. You can receive assistance, guidance, be supported, ask for that support that you need in making these changes. If you're making a change with your eating patterns, let people you live with know, you're making those changes, or bring them on board. And so, again, this part of the lunar cycle is about letting go of stuff, of sludge, of negativity, bad habits, people who drain you, etc. And you must make time to reflect upon what needs to be let go of. This is also, by the way, fun fact, a best time to cut your hair, because you're letting go. So the best time to cut your hair is following the full moon, between the full moon and the next new moon. So take inventory, take stock of where you're at, and pick, 1 to 3 items maybe that you can see are standing in your way or diminishing your life force energy in such a way that you don't have the focus or energy to give your creative projects the attention they need and deserve, and work with those in this cycle. Work with surrendering and letting go of those. Again, surrendering isn't giving up. It might feel like it sometimes, but it isn't giving up. It's more active than that. It's giving over, and it's a yielding. It's a yielding and co-creating, right? And it's very courageous, and really opens us to our ability to trust ourselves, to trust others, to trust the divine. What can get in the way of that? So resistance. Resistance can get in the way, and resistance can come from you consciously resist. It can come from the subconscious with self-sabotage behaviors, etc. And it doesn't, when you can become aware of where this originates, where is the resistance coming from? Is it coming from within me? Is it coming from out there? How I'm perceived in the world, etc. What is the fear there? What is the fear, the anxiety about the future? Where is that rooted? Because fear is typically rooted in the past, and anxiety is typically rooted in the future. So, and we're in the present, but those things pull us off center, right? These things pull us away from doing the things that we want to be doing, that we write down on our to-do list, our action steps that we can see in the moment as helping us arrive in our best version of ourselves. And what we resist persists. What we resist persists. So becoming aware of what can you see as preventing you from making these changes that you know you need to make, right? We all need to make changes. We're all living, growing beings. And as we transform, we're burning some things up so that new things can grow. What we resist persists. Mother Teresa said she wouldn't go to an anti-war rally, but invite me to your peace rally. Okay? Think about that for a moment. Think about the different energies there. You have anti-war or anti-whatever rally, anti-war rally versus a peace rally, peaceful demonstration, peace, anti-war, peace. So notice if you're pushing something away, because that has an element of resistance versus moving into something, moving towards something. So are you moving away from something? We need to know what we're moving away from, right? But what do you want instead? What are you creating instead? What are you magnetizing towards and magnetizing to you? And it's completely different energy, right? Anti-war versus peace, away from versus towards. And it requires that self-reflection time. Okay, so what you need to be aware of is you need to make time to be aware, to take that inventory and really assess what's in the way. How am I getting in my own way, basically? And when we release that resistance, we release friction, and things start to, instead of paddling upstream, we start to flow with the river and be carried downstream. So unless you need or want to go slower, then you can add some friction, right? Back when I used to cross-country ski in Montana, in the backcountry, with cross-country skis, your toes are attached, your heel lifts, and you kick and slide, and there's hills. But when you're going uphill, instead of having to walk, with your toes out to get uphill, you can put these things called skins on your skis. It looks like a thick piece of velour. And so you stick the skins on, and then you can just walk uphill with the skins on. It's really cool. Now, when you want to come back down the hill, the skins are going to slow you down. They're going to create resistance and friction, which, if you're not an experienced skier, then that's a good thing. Unless you want to go, a little faster downhill, then you take those skins off, Release the resistance, release the friction, and then you can go downhill. So that's what we're doing, is we're letting go, we're taking something off, we're shedding a skin that we've outgrown so that we can go with that flow and get some momentum going with the divine. So we're not giving up, we're giving over, we're recognizing that life is a co-creation. And we have the serenity prayer, right? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So up your self-care practices and your self-connection practices. Make time for yourself. Journal. Be with yourself. Because sometimes resistance is in the form of busyness too. Like, oh, I just don't have time. I wish I had time. Well, you do have time. You know, you're just choosing different things instead. So you can make time, move, nourish, meditate, play, connect with yourself, do some journaling. And basically we're always in this cycle of death and rebirth. And even though now is not the best time to start a new project or a new creation, recognize that it's a cycle, it's a continuum. So as something's dying, something else is being born. So it's not that you shouldn't do anything creative during this time, right? But just recognizing that, where are you on that continuum? Are you only focusing on creating, doing, etc.? How are you not looking at what needs to be let go of? So taking that time to recognize, are you way over here on that creative spectrum? Can you bring it back to the middle, or even towards the destructive aspects, so that you can let go and have more energy, more momentum available for your creative practices. Real quick, before we do the ritual suggestion and have our drawing, I want to use these cool moon cards and share a little bit about the waning moon energy. So with the waning moon, so here is the moon cycle, the lunar cycle. And let me do I gotta do backwards pointing with this camera, right, Kelly? So we have the new moon, and then here is the crescent moon as it's starting to wax or gain light. Here's half moon, which is called the first quarter moon. And then we have the waxing gibbous, the full moon, the waning gibbous, which was between last Wednesday's full moon and this Wednesday's half moon. So the waning gibbous, the waning third quarter moon or half moon, waning crescent, and back to the new moon. So it goes like this, counterclockwise cycle. And this is called the first quarter and the third quarter. I was like, why are those called that? So I had to look that up. But first quarter, if you imagine like Earth is the pitcher's mound, and you have the three bases. So first quarter would be first base, because it's 1/4 away around the circle. Then full moon, whoops, I'm going the wrong way. Then full moon is second base. And third quarter is third base. It's 3/4 of the way around the circle. So it's called the third quarter moon. And the third quarter moon, or half moon, which you'll see tonight if it's not cloudy where you're at, says that adjustments are required. Adjustments are required. Okay, so that's what we were talking about. It's like, what do you need to let go of? What do you need to release? How are you misdirecting your life force energy based on what your intention is, what your mission is, etc.? And then we have the waxing crescent moon. What do you need to release? What do you need to release, right? So adjustments are required. So that's the reflective time, self-reflection. So make time for that tonight or tomorrow night, or sometime in the next week before noon moon next Wednesday, because the new moon is next Wednesday. So then that starts that creative cycle again, right? The spring cycle where we're growing, we're setting intentions, we're planting those intention seeds, and those grow with the light of the moon. So with these two cards, adjustments are required. And, you know, what do you need to let go of? So adjustments are required. It's a time of falling away and a time to reevaluate. Okay, time to reevaluate. And what do you need to release? What's falling away? Sometimes we need downtime or to let go of something. It's the autumn or winter part of the lunar cycle. And it really is about things falling away, like fall, okay, autumn. It's not the time to cling on to anyone or anything. Hunker down and start the regeneration process. That's what it says. Hunker down and start the regeneration process. So do some hunkering down, write down adjustments, etc. needed, and refer back to this in the spring. Check your growth. I love it. Yes, Kelly. If y'all are not members of Kelly's group, you should be. Begin to Zen. I love that Facebook group so much. They do daily oracle cards. It's so cool. It's so synchronous with what everyone is going through in the tribe. So highly recommend you hopping in there. Let's go into the ritual suggestion, the practice suggestion. And you can come back to this and replay it or just do it from memory. So we're going to use two goddesses from this goddess deck, the goddess oracle and cards I was showing you earlier. We're going to use Durga for boundaries and Lilith, the power, for cord cutting ceremony. So starting with your ritual practice, so you want to, you know, like clear your space, get set up, you know, prepare yourself, get whatever candles or whatever you want for your items, your sacred items around. Close the door if you can. And you'll do this process here that I'm going to take you into, or you can do it right now too if you want. So starting with, where's Durga? Starting with Durga with boundaries again, and you may need time to reflect on this. So you can come back to this video anytime in the group. So just taking a few breaths here, breathing in and out. And create a circle in your mind around you of any material that makes you feel safe and protected. Any material at all. It could be flowers, it could be fire, it can be a fence, it can be light. Once you have created the circle around yourself, make the space within the circle as large or small as you need. It can be miles from the center of the circle to the outer rim, or it can be inches. Take as much space as you need. Creating that circle around yourself of any material that makes you feel safe and protected. Now fill your circle with whatever nurtures you. You can fill it with color, flowers, plants, animals, anything you want, so long as it nurtures, supports, and loves you unconditionally. And they say, strongly urge you not to fill it with people. This is your private space. Animals are okay though. You're not required to share your space. Bring in anything that nurtures, supports, and loves you unconditionally. Sometimes we may need vast amounts of space, other times very little. The choice is always ours. And the materials we use to create this circle may change over time. Sometimes when we do it, it's one thing, other times another. The sacred circle of self is adaptable and flexible to your needs. Sit with your sacred circle of self around you until you sense your boundary is in place, ready to protect and nurture you. And just becoming aware in this moment, are there any behaviors, bad habits, relationships, mindsets that you need to let go of? And take note of anything that arises, that comes to mind, that you're ready to surrender, to give over, to release. And what do you want instead? What are you going to bring in instead? So note these items as they come to mind. And then for each of those items, you want to be specific about what do you want instead, what are you going to do instead, what are you going to think instead, or say to yourself instead, or to another person. Have that healthy alternative option. Take a few more breaths here. When you're ready, just blinking the eyes open. If they're closed, taking a few cleansing breaths, taking a little stretch. Give yourself a big hug. Say, I love you. To reactivate your sacred circle of self, you need only pause, close your eyes, take a breath, and visualize, sense, or feel it around you. Okay? Anytime you need it. Now, let's talk about the cord cutting ceremony that some of you may want to do. So now if you've brought to mind one or two or three things you ready to let go of with this lunar phase, and some things you may not be ready to let go of yet, and that's okay, but you're aware. So pick something, and you can do a cord cutting ceremony that we talked about last week. So with that, you'll take a piece of string, yarn, cord, whatever, and cut it to a length that's appropriate for wherever you're going to tie it around, whatever body part you're going to tie it around, whether that's wrist, ankle, waist, neck, and that represents what you're letting go of, what you're releasing. And if you're doing more than one thing, I would do more than one cord. Okay, so one cord per item. And again, you can do this, you can cast that circle, get connected, get centered, know what you're releasing and what you want instead, why you're doing it. And when you, so cast that circle, have your cord, and place this energy of what it is you're releasing into that cord, right? Into whatever piece of yarn, string, what have you. And as you're tying the cord next to your skin, speak the meaning of the cord, what it represents. This cord symbolizes, for example, my desire to be in my power by speaking my own truth. So for that one, the person might tie it around their throat. Or if they want to be, they don't want it like visible, seen, you can tie it around your ankle or waist. When finished, you go on to the next cord. Speak into the meaning of the cord as you tie it next to your skin. And you may choose to work with only one cord at a time, or you may work with up to like 3. I wouldn't do more than 3. Just keep it simple. And be sure you give attention to all the cords. During the days leading up to the cord cutting, which is at the new moon, or you can wear it longer. You can wait and do it at full moon or the next new moon. Okay? During the days leading up to the cord cutting, you'll need to focus on each cord and what it represents by looking at the cord and feeling it next to your skin. It's kind of hard not to. You take a shower or something and it's there. or you put on socks if it's around your ankle and it's there. Okay, so that's why you do this, so that it's coming to mind, you're aware of it, and you're aware of what you want instead. On the day or night you've chosen to cut the cord or cords, have a incense burner or a little fireproof dish you can burn it in, and a way to make fire, matches or a lighter, and scissors or a knife. Cast a circle or do whatever is appropriate for you. Get centered, be still, connect to yourself, breathe. When you're ready, you'll cut the cord. You'll cut that cord and release that. And then you can put it in the little burner thing and burn it up, and speak to what you're creating instead, what you're committed to instead. In the present tense, in the positive, I am, or I feel, taking your power back. You're literally taking your power back. Maybe it's what the behavior is binding you, is handcuffing you, and this is a way of releasing it, really releasing it. State the meaning of the cord and your desire to take your power back. And you may cut each cord differently. Burn them up. Allow yourself to feel a surge of power as you watch each cord turn to smoke. If you want to move around, dance, stretch, do some yoga, do some drumming, play some music, or take a bath, do some self-care after the ceremony, that's a good idea. Okay? Taking some deep breaths, feeling your new sense of power. And if you've cast a circle, just releasing what you've called in with gratitude, releasing with gratitude, and stepping into this next chapter with more life force energy. Okay, because this is a time, again, the moon cards show, what do you need to release? What do you need to let go of or shift? What do you need to release? What do you need to let go of? Adjustments are required. Okay. I think that is what I have for you today, my friends, regarding all about letting go with the waning moon. Oh, thanks, Kelly. I love having you here. Just scrolling the comments real quick before we go to the drawing. Yay, welcome, welcome. Okay, so let's go on to our monthly giveaway. I've put everyone's names in the wheel of names. All our members are in there. Now, if you have won the drawing previously, your name has been taken off the wheel to make it fair for other people who haven't won yet. But this is for a free Akashic reading, a detailed, personalized Akashic reading with me. Akashic records are an energetic record of all your past thoughts, words, and actions in this life, and if you believe in past lives and in past lives. And everything is energy. These words I'm speaking right now have energy. The sound waves are going out infinitely. Everything still exists. And it's also a way of understanding trajectories you're on, or particular different potential timelines. The Akashic records are also that. And what this reading tells you is it connects you to your soul blueprint, which is your energy archetype, which relates to the chakras. So your soul resonates most strongly. We all have all the chakras, right? But it resonates most strongly with one of the energy centers, one of the primary 8 wheels or energy centers. And that in turn tells us your specific gifts, your purpose, ways you tend to trip yourself up, called shadow behaviors, as well as specific ways to return to balance. And then it also, this is a very woo-woo part, it also tells you about where else in the universe you incarnated. Where was your home place, your home star system, and what does that tell you about how things happen in your life, how things happen for you, your particular demeanor, things like that. So it's really, really cool. Really cool prize, $1,000 value, and giving away every month, last Wednesday of the month. So I've got everyone's names in here. Let's shuffle a few times and let's spin the wheel, shall we? Oh, wow. Nicole Menchaca has won. Nicole, yay. Yay, congratulations, Nicole. So excited for you. So thrilled and honored to get to do your Akashic reading for you, compile your soul blueprint. It also includes soul level clearing if there's any blocks, like emotional blocks, or house of mirrors, where the mirrors face out and kind of keep you protected but keep you from being seen. We also clear those as well. So I will reach out to you, Miss Nicole, and get you all lined out for how to redeem your Akashic reading. Super powerful, so thankful. And if anyone else on here is ready to have their reading, please get in touch with me. And we can get you set up as well. And then, if you say down the road you won the reading, like happened to Heather Marashinsky, she had booked a reading with me, and then the next drawing, the very next drawing, she won the drawing. So what we did there, which was super cool, is say you've already won the drawing or you've already had a reading. We did 2 past life journeys for healing and wisdom. So we visited 2 different past lives and went through healing processes for those instead. So if you've already won or if you already had a reading and you win this drawing, that is an option for you. So yay, thanks Kelly, thanks guys, congratulations Nicole. I will be reaching out to you shortly. I will see you next week. Happy Halloween, everyone. Namaste.